Yo, I got this vintage camera. Check this thing out. This is like 100 years old, bro. Like, the photos are like so natural. Like, no filters, no cap, bro. Bet, bro. I got one too. This is like 2 megapixel, but the grains like makes the photo pop. Sometimes I can't even tell if it's a person or a shadow, but that's art. Yo, bro, you call that vintage? Let me show you true vintage, bro. Bro, is that a potato? Bro, this thing like helps me to take a picture in my head. Sometimes I forget, but yo, that's what photography's all about. Dang, bro, let me call up Jaden. Let's see if he wants to shoot some TikTok with that potato. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Scott K. In this day of like ever advancing technology and keyboards with like screens and lights and magnets and WTF is this? I got a small flashback of how things were by building a delightfully straightforward keyboard, the ASCII F. Where does this OG come from? Well, none other than our fellow keyboard enthusiast, creator, and streamer, Enomooshiki. I had a chance to meet Frank at some meetups back in Korea when I was out there, and he has finally brought out his own keyboard to represent like the good old days of keyboard design. Keeping things simple. And doing it right. Let's see what the ASCII F is all about then, shall we? But before we dive straight into it, take a listen to its sound first. So the ASCII F takes inspiration from a true OG legend, the wise ASCII keyboard. The small details of the ASCII carries over to this modern refresh as well. The ASCII F is an interesting layout of a keyboard. It's called a FRL 1800, so a F-row-less 1800 layout keyboard. It takes an almost full-size 1800 keyboard, then chops off the F keys on top. It's essentially for those people that don't need the F keys, but also needs a numpad. Kind of like a hybrid per se. A 65% gaming keyboard on the left, and a full-size numpad on the right for work. It's like the mullet of keyboards, right? And just like a mullet, it's beautiful. Lately, most keyboards have like gone down the path of like more is more is more. More screens, more lights, more mounting methods, and more foam. And yet, this went backwards. No screens, no lights, one mounting method, and surprisingly, no foam. It's like a keyboard in its purest form. But then again, if you have nothing to fall back on, you better make sure the keyboard can stand on its own just like this without anything else. So let's dig deeper into this ASCII F then, shall we? So the ASCII F comes in 3 different materials. This one right here is the brass bottom version. It's a massive 7.5 pounds of brass in the bottom of the keyboard. Seriously, it's like a weapon. If you want to go more, right? You can even do the copper version that will add even more weight. But the copper version is going to be like the special edition version and will only be limited to 10 units. You heard right. If heavy keyboards are not really for you, you can also opt for a simpler aluminum version to keep things light. Overall, the ASCII F is a beautifully simple design. Very classic, clean lines, great milling work, and smooth E-finish. However, Enomooshiki did want to add a little bit of flair with like the slots that he put into the sides to break up the monotony. I really love how the gold from the lower brass peeks out against the E-white, just like this, and in general, the case design is spot on. And the lower weight is just gorgeous with also the signature Enomooshiki engraved into it as well. You guys know I'm a sucker for like white and gold color combinations, right? I think a lot of things and gold I like. Overall, the case is also a comfortable design with the front being less than 20 millimeters, 17.8 millimeters to be exact. Look at these case screws. They're probably one of the beefiest case screws I have ever seen. You can opt to go for the ASCII F in 2 different PCB styles, a standard hot swap or even the classic solder. Both PCBs come very simple, full 1.6mm thickness, no flex cuts, and even in this green color shows up straight OG. This PCB is QMK and VIA capable for your customization. One thing that is critical about this layout though, is the full 2U size 0 in the numpad. As someone that uses the numpad quite a bit, that makes or breaks a keyboard for work in my opinion. The The same simplicity carries into the plates as well. While you have the option for 4, FR4, PC, PP, and aluminum, right here I have two versions, the FR4 and the PC plate. Once again, Enomooshiki didn't bother with flex cuts or special mounting for this. Wait, speaking of mounting, yes, the Asky F is a top mount keyboard. What? No gaskets? No springs? Nope. But what is interesting about this is that this is a PCB mounted top mount. Yup, you know what that means. You can absolutely go plateless if you decide to go the solder route. Nice. That's it. Literally. There is nothing else. Then we should probably try building this, right? But before we jump into the build itself, let's go to a quick word from our sponsor today, PCB Way. PCB Way is an online service that helps you print PCBs, do 3D printing, or even CNC machining. If you're an aspiring keyboard designer or whatever else designer, you can take your design and simply upload it to get something made quick. Or, if you have the source code for a PCB that you already have and you need a replacement, you can also get that done as well. They can handle all types of PCBs from your simple single layer designs to multi-layer stacks. Beyond PCBs, if you want to try making your own case, PCB Way can machine that as well. Now, a very exciting new service that PCB Way offers, OEM. Instead of just making a single component, you can actually task PCB Way to be an OEM manufacturer and make the whole thing. They can do anything from PCBs to CNC cases to even assembly. And using global manufacturing, they can offer very competitive prices. Is there a keyboard on the horizon? Well, check out OEM at PCB Way. Okay, so for my build, I am going to keep things easy and go with the hot swap PCB. I do have to ship this back, so I didn't want to solder it and then desolder it. I know, I'm lazy. So I also wanted to see if I could create the thockiest version of the Asky F. So I am going to go with the PC plate here, since it does provide a lower sound signature versus the FR4. If you want to learn about plates and materials and sound, check out my video. For switches, I will be using a set of Keygeek LM switches. These are nice and smooth linear, and they actually deliver a very deep sound signature. Putting all this together, it just felt odd not having to think about using foams or PE sheets or anything like that. One thing I did do though is force break to create for the cleanest sound profile from this massive metal case. Not just the bottom, right? Even the top is a lot of metal. For the keycaps, I decided to go with a set of Wuque poker since I felt the light lavender color, it looked really great against the white and the gold underneath. This is the final result. I think this looks great with the E white and the gold below, right? Don't you think so? As you would expect from a top mount keyboard, you're not going to be getting a crazy soft, bouncy typing feel. However, top mount keyboards still do have some give. So you won't have to worry about typing into a stiff, uncomfortable keyboard. This is definitely not one of those. Okay, I know you got a quick sample of how this Asky F sounds, but here is a full sound test. What do you think? I think the combination of the components and the deeper switch, it really provided for a nice and thocky or deep sounding keyboard. One thing I did want to point out that is this keyboard, it has no sound modifiers or any fillers. Yet the sound is pretty good, right? How is that possible? Well, if you design the keyboard right and focus on how the materials interact and how the design works together, you don't need to mitigate that with more stuff. It's just a pure typing experience. So the Asky F will be going on group buy this month and will be running for a couple of months or so. The simplest aluminum version will start at $250 and the limited 10 run copper version will be a whopping $500. Price being dictated by the materials as well as the limited run, right? Don't make a lot, it's gonna cost more money. It was a nice and refreshing reset for me to start off the new year with a simple, elegant, and pure keyboard build like the Asky F. Boards like these are a reminder that sometimes You just need to take a step back and focus on the basics. In this case, a keyboard is designed to be an input device first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. Thanks.